So I put together this short video. Well, it's not that short, but of this Project Bluebeam stuff. And I'm convinced that billions of people are going to be deceived by this when this happens. The only way to be protected and to not be deceived is to be very close to Jesus. Get close to Jesus. Stay close to Jesus. He is the vine. We are the branches. Unless you abide in Him, you can't do anything. And if you fall away from Him, you're doomed. You're doomed and you are done. And you will be deceived and destroyed forever. In 2 Thessalonians 2, it talks about this strong delusion. And it's going to be people who are not putting Jesus first, who are willfully living in sin and just not abiding in Christ. So I'm warning you now. You better get close to Jesus and you better stay close to Jesus. Things are about to get crazy. And when this starts, this Project Bluebeam crazy stuff, that's going to be the end of it for so many people. When they communicate with you in your brain, that's Twilight Zone stuff right there. Anyway, get close to Jesus, stay close to Jesus, abide in Him, or else. There's just no time to be falling away from the Lord. None at all. Let's do this. We got to stay close to Him. But He will protect us, but only if we stay close to Him. God bless you.
I like conspiracy theories, not because they're all always true. No, sometimes they really are just conspiracy theories. Sometimes they really are a person that just can't think anymore because they distrust everything. But other times they're true. And I'm talking about this today because now everyone's got UFOs in the brain. And I just think it's weird, as I said earlier, that the government suddenly wants us to have UFOs on the brain. What's behind that? Well, my brain says to me, obviously, it's got to be power. And I remember having read an old conspiracy theory that I thought was the craziest one that I've ever read. And I still think it is incredibly far-fetched. And I'm not wanting you to take away from this that you should believe this conspiracy theory. No. I'm just asking you to play a little mind yoga, because even if a conspiracy theory turns out to be false, you are better for having considered it. You are better for have had your mind bend like a pretzel. Even if it goes right back to its initial state, it is good for you to have flexibility when it comes to your thoughts. This conspiracy theory was called Project Bluebeam, and it was written about by Serge Monast. Who was Serge Monast? Serge Monast was a journalist, a poet, and an essayist, and he was an active member of the Social Credit Party of Canada. He was a Canadian.
Et c'est un dossier qui touche les vaccins, la médecine militaire.
In the 1990s, he started writing on a theme regarding a new world order. He said that he received documents pertaining to NASA. And in 1994, he published what was called Project Bluebeam, NASA, in which he detailed his claim that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a new age religion with the Antichrist as its head and start a new world order. Now that sounds really far-fetched today. Imagine how far-fetched it sounded in 1994. Right, I mean, this is like in 1994, we believed everything that the government said to us. So this to me, that this guy came out in 1994 and said, nope, there is a Project Bluebeam taking place. NASA is involved with the help of the United Nations. I would have thought this man was crazy. If I was old enough to consider this, I would have thought he was out of his mind. So what's interesting about this, though, is that he publishes that book in 1994. And then the following years, in 1995 and 1996, he starts saying that he's being hunted by the police and the authorities for his involvement in networks of prohibited information. Now, that also sounds crazy. Oh, they're after me now because I published Project Bluebeam. He sounds like a total nut job. That sounds insane. Except for the fact that the state then took his children in September of 1996, claiming that his children being homeschooled was just a bad thing and that they weren't receiving the education that they deserved, they made his children wards of the state. They took his children so that they would receive a public education. So that's odd. Why would you take children because they're being homeschooled and make them wards of the state so that they can receive a public education? Well, it's going to get a little odder. He then died of a heart attack in his home in December of 1996 at the age of 51, just one day after being arrested and spending a night in jail. So they arrested him, something pertaining to his children not being in school, and then a day later he died. So obviously you can see that a ton of conspiracy theories regarding his death existed at that time. How bizarre. Guy says he's going to die, that he's being chased by the state. The state then takes his children to help him get a better public education, and then he ends up dead a day after being arrested and spending a night in jail. That's weird. It's weird enough for people to then start listening to maybe some things that he was saying. And I'm going to take you through Project Bluebeam because I think, as I said, that it is insane. It's totally insane, but we will all be better for having heard it. So there are 4 elements to Project Bluebeam. It's a 4-step project that he said was designed by NASA and the United Nations, as I mentioned, with the ultimate goal of creating a new world order dictatorship. Now, if you had told me anything about a new world order dictatorship, so Serge Manis said that step 1 of Project Bluebeam was going to involve the manufacturing of artificially created earthquakes in strategic locations around the world. Again, to make it clear, he is stating in 1994 that the governments were in possession of technology that was going to be able to make this happen. Can the government cause earthquakes? I don't really know about that. Again, I'm just telling you what he said. These earthquakes, according to him, were going to unearth ancient artifacts indicating that the religious doctrines of all nations have been misunderstood for centuries, thus discrediting all religions. Okay, we've yet to see anything like that. I haven't seen the ancient artifacts that have come up to discredit all of the religions. The second step, he says, was going to involve a giant show from space. Essentially, they were going to use 3-dimensional optical holograms that were going to project holographic images to beam across the sky, and that these images were going to include projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, and it was all going to merge into one. Essentially, they were going to be able to accomplish this by using space-based satellites, and it was going to make the entire sky transform into a massive movie screen. Do they have the technology to do that at NASA? I don't know. NASA really is just sort of a black budget, in my opinion. I have no idea what NASA does. I don't know why they're getting trillions and trillions of taxpayer dollars. I don't know what NASA does. Call me an idiot, but they have an incredible budget for seemingly nothing, in my opinion. The third step is even more far-fetched. He says that this is going to involve artificial intelligence. Again, I just like to state this over and over again. He was saying this in 1994. Artificial intelligence that was going to be able to use mind control to reach people inside of their minds. And this was going to involve rays from satellites that are being fed memories from our computers that have stored massive data about every single human being on Earth. And finally, the 4th step of Project Bluebeam was going to use various technologies in order to convince people that alien invasions were taking place, alien invasions, and even the rapture itself, thus making it easier for governments and the powers that be to take control of a fear-addled population. The NASA Bluebeam project is the prime directive for the New World Order's absolute control over the populations of the entire Earth. That's a direct quote from him, that the NASA Bluebeam project is the prime directive for the New World Order's absolute control over the populations of the entire Earth. Now, that's just me taking you through the 4 steps of it. And in closing, final line of his manifesto, his Project Bluebeam manifesto, was no one is safe in a totalitarian police state. So I don't necessarily believe that all of this is true. This man could have literally been an insane person who was paranoid And maybe the state took his kids away because they thought he was a danger because of his paranoia. Maybe he really did just happen to die from a heart attack at the age of 51. I mean, part of bending your mind like a pretzel is bending it in both directions. Maybe just what happened is he was a crazy Canadian guy who got a little too into conspiracy theories and a little too obsessed with NASA and came up with something that only is being considered because he died, right? But I will say that I'm not buying any of this UFO stuff. I do believe that it is ever so intentional that our government is trying to lead us to believe that something big and scary is happening, because if we've learned anything from the exercise of COVID, it is that when people are fearful, they will give up all of their powers, all of them. Please mask my children. Please tell my neighbors and me to stay at home. Please let us call the police if we see somebody not keeping their 6-foot distance. I've always said COVID was a test. It really, to me, seemed like a global examination to see whether or not you could say things that were clearly insane, that defied common sense, that should have defied the logic of any human being, and to see if people would still listen. I always thought it was an exercise in human subjugation, and an exercise that we failed. We failed. People became crazy. People became insane. People were desperate for hand sanitizer. It's a virus, but sure, this hand sanitizer is going to go a long way in helping you to fight a virus. An antibacterial soap, bacteria, is going to help you fight a virus. It made no sense, none of it. And there are still people today that are wearing masks, that are choosing to mask themselves because of the fear porn that they were exposed to. So what is this fear exercise about? Because that's what it is. Oh, another unidentified object. Oh, China now sees an unidentified object. Oh, Russia now sees an unidentified object. Is this like the virus spreading again? The mind virus?
Did you know that there is a project with the idea of creating a false second coming of Jesus Christ using holographic technology or projections in the sky? It is the Bluebeam Project. For some, a conspiracy theories, for another, a secret that has tried to be hidden for decades, suggests that there is a secret plan by a government or powerful entity to implement a massive global deception using advanced technology. This false event would be used to manipulate and control the population, convincing them that they are witnessing a divine event. It is later argued that other projections and technologies would be used to create fictitious events or global threats for the purpose of unifying humanity under a one-world government. From a Christian point of view, the reaction to this information, and to any conspiracy theory, including Project Bluebeam, should be balanced based on faith, discernment, and biblical knowledge. I invite you to be alert and attentive in faith to face situations like these. Comment what you think about this false second coming. Tell me your opinion about this project and follow me for more.
It's like the flesh is cooked all the way through.
This is the same scene we saw in Kazakhstan.
What the hell is going on? This is our own backyard.
This is no good. I don't like being kept in the dark on this.
Someone's going to great lengths to sabotage our work.
Who?
One way or another, we'd better find out.
Hi guys, I'm Robert Breaker, and I've got this video for you today that I've just got a couple of things I want to show you. Someone sent me a video that I just am looking at and going, wow, what do I do with this? I don't know, maybe I'll just share it with you. It's kind of interesting. A lot of things are happening in 2024. And the first sermon of the year of 2024 that I did, you can go to thecloudchurch.org and look up that sermon, is Are You Ready for More in 2024? And I said in that sermon that I really feel like they're going to try to confuse people. And there's a lot of people today that are very, very confused. And the more news we get, the more we see things, the more we're scratching our heads going, what's going on? You know, the year started out with this thing in Miami. And people are like, what is that? I recently did a video on Uptime Community Church about the Nephilim. And that's a very interesting study. And I posted it on my channel as well. So watch that if you would. And to be honest with you, I see what's going on in the world and I'm just like, yep, figures. I don't think anything could shock me anymore with what we're seeing today. And what we're seeing is some really, really weird stuff. People that used to be in the closet are out of the closet now. And by that, I mean the Satanists, the Luciferians, the New Agers, the people that used to practice their rituals in private. They're doing it in public. They feel like we're in the age now in which they can come out into the light and not have to hide who and what they are anymore. As you know, we've gone from Aquarius to the age of, well, actually from the Capricorn. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. And a lot of people look at that. And New Agers, they go by that. If you're a Christian, you're looking for the Messiah. But if you're one of those people, you're looking for your Maitreya, that we as Christians know is the Antichrist, who is coming. And it's kind of funny and sad at the same time that we are Christians, we're looking for Jesus, and those who aren't, they're looking for their so-called Messiah. It's actually going to be Satan. And so you're either of God or of Satan. There's no middle ground anymore. And they're out in the open with their rituals, like the Super Bowls. These are satanic rituals that they do out in the open in the halftime shows and things like that. So you need to know these things, and you need to not be confused. The Bible says God is not the author of confusion. But there's a lot of things that are happening that people are looking at, and they're just going, what? Why is this? Let me show you one example. Look at this, if you would. It says, another elitist freak show, demonic witch mumbles incantations, hexes on stage, blows air at attendees. Welcome to Davos, or however they say that. And if you know what that is, you know that's something that the elites are all behind and all that stuff. But the witches are out in the open now. They don't hide it anymore. They're just in your face with witchcraft. And notice how her face is painted red. And, you know, all the occult, Marvel is very big nowadays, these Marvel movies. And it's always the bad guy has the red head, Red Skeleton or something. Was that his name? And Marvel's putting out some new film someone told me about. And something Echo or something. And the woman's face is painted red. What is a red painted face? Well, if you're a vampire and you're drinking blood, you're going to have it all over your face. And so we're seeing more and more of this macabre, I like that word, this just mentality of zombies and blood, and it's all satanic, and it's all leading people down the path of evil and wickedness. So watch out for that. And I believe that if the Lord tarries, I mean, before he comes, we're going to be seeing more and more witchcraft, more fallen angels stuff, more Jesuit activity, more Project Blue Beam. Now, I was sent this video a while back, and it kind of blew my mind. And it's something that you have to zoom in on. If you have a big screen television and you're able to watch YouTube through the big screen TV, I recommend that you watch this video I'm about to show you. But something happens to the man's face while they're filming, and it just begins to shine. Now, some people might think, well, that's just a camera angle and something weird about the camera, but it doesn't look natural and it doesn't look like a camera glitch. And what is this man doing there to begin with? Let me get to that. I'll present this here and show you what it is exactly that I'm talking about. And this video for me was very strange. And I'm like, huh, what is this? All right, now I'm sharing, and you can read right there. If you want to go to this video for yourself and see it, and I hope you do, I would like you to do that. It says, rare mystery sighting on the royal balcony, people confused. Well, there's your confusion, right? People are confused. And this is at Buckingham's Palace, and there are two men in Buckingham's Palace up there, and people are like, who are these guys? Because, well, it doesn't look like they should be there. And what they're doing looks like, some people say, okay, is a satanic ritual. Some people say that they're witches praying for Buckingham's Palace or something like that, because they're literally bowing down and getting on their knees. One of them even goes so far as to go and start kissing the walls and stuff. Are they doing some sort of out in the open ritual? Some people say, no, these are fallen angels. Well, when you see the man's face glow, you got to wonder. The cameraman is watching the parade, and then, let me fast forward it, he suddenly starts going up, going, huh, it's Buckingham's Palace. Why are there two guys up there? And so he begins to film the two guys that are up there. There's a man, and there's a man. Did you see it? Did you see what his face just did? Now I'm going to slow this down. And again, if you have a large screen TV, this is what you want. You want to be able to get into this. Watch the face of this man right here. Boom. It glowed. It's glowing still. All of a sudden, there's this glow on this man's face. And you're just scratching your head going, what did I just see? So it's hard to see unless you have it on a big screen. But here it is. And look, he turns and his face just begins to shine like Moses's face. It said it's so odd. So very odd. Well, there's a thing out there that some people are aware of or maybe aren't aware of. So I want you to be aware of this today. It's a thing called Project Bluebeam. And Project Bluebeam is pretty weird. Okay. And if you're not aware of what Project Bluebeam is, maybe you should be. This is why I'm warning you not to be confused. Okay. God is not the author of confusion, and don't believe everything you see. But you can go to AI and you can say, AI, make me this, make me that, make me this. And it can actually, AI can make a movie. So it's hard to know what to believe. So in this age, don't just believe the first thing you see. That's the best way I know to say it. Well, this thing is called Project Bluebeam. And Project Bluebeam is them being able to project things. I think those Marvel movies tried to talk about that with some man that used drones and was able to make people believe. I can't remember what that guy's name with the fishbowl on his head was, but he was out there trying to be a superhero, and he was using drones to project beams in which people saw what he wanted them to see. So hologram technology is available today, and just because you see it, don't believe it, because they can use it for things like this. Check this out. Hologram right there.
Outside the Game Awards 2023.
They can project into the sky, people coming out of portholes and things like that. So no wonder I bet this one twice the speed. Let me go back on normal. Go back. I want to show you that dragon again. So see a dragon fall from heaven, the Bible says. Well, they can show you that. And people will think that's real. And that's a hologram.
Outside the Game Awards 2023.
So folks, just be careful. Don't believe everything you see. Pray about it. Ask God to show you, because the Bible says in the last days they will send strong delusion that they might believe a lie. And I think that the world is going in a way in which they're wanting to delude people. And I wonder if they won't use Project Bluebeam, this thing, to try to make people think what, I don't know, fake alien invasion or I don't know, anything. So be very careful. But this is the kind of thing that they can do now. And it looks so real, so real. There you go. There's your giant Nephilim coming out. Look at that, a giant tiger. Oh, wow, look at that. What do you see? It's rising from, oh, well, it's an angel. Look at that. Or it wants to be. Fallen angel for sure. Coming up out of the ground. So here's it looks so real that people think they're going to get wet. See that? Wow. And they're projecting false lightning. Wow, this is incredible what they can do with technology nowadays. And now it's like it's opening a porthole. And look at that, opening a porthole. And the guy's saying, hey, come on with me. Come on in here. And then he comes out and look what he is. Creepy. Yeah, exactly. If you ever see something like that, that's what it is. It's trying to eat you. Oh, here's your Cyclops. I mean, why are they doing this with things that we look at in the Bible as evil, that we know are the product of fallen angels? Why would they want Cyclops and stuff like that? So thank you for watching this. I hope this has been eye-opening to you. And if anything, I want to encourage you. Jesus is coming soon, but I also want you to just not believe everything you see, because we are in a time in history in which it is the most easiest thing in the world to deceive someone. And all they have to do is just do some sort of a light show and everyone will think it's real. So check all things, make sure everything is true, and be careful. But watch that video. Go back to that one video. Look at that guy's face, and you tell me if it looks like it's shining. What is that? What will we see in 2024 or 2025 or 2026? If they have technology they can put inside of people, and you can use a black light and actually see different colors in their veins, so it make a person look like they're glowing. So weird times. I'm anxious for Jesus to return at the rapture, but until he does, I'm going to keep showing you and warning you about things like this and telling you, don't be gullible and don't just believe everything you see.
He discovered that NASA and a few intelligence agencies developed the technology to project 3D holographic images into the sky. I say into because the system uses a combination of satellites and ground-based systems to manipulate the ionosphere. You don't need a screen. Images can be projected onto the particles in the atmosphere. The projections will appear so lifelike that people will believe they are witnessing a miracle. The dominant god of each region will appear in the sky. Imagine looking up and seeing Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all speaking to their followers in their own language. Their god will tell them their beliefs are all wrong, then will slowly morph into a new god. This is the first appearance of the new Messiah, God of the New World Order.
The projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Krishna will merge into one, and explanations of mysteries and revelations will be disclosed. This one God will, in fact, be the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that the religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother and nation against nation. Therefore, old religions must be abolished to make way for the new age, new world religion, representing the one God Antichrist they see before them.
Debunking old religions will be enough to convert some people to this new one. Giant deities appearing and then converging into one Antichrist will convert a lot more. But these technologies won't work on everybody. Non-religious people will be terrified for sure, but they won't suddenly believe in a god based on a hologram, no matter how real it looks. The Shadow Masters know that. The Shadow Masters know that to create a one-world government and single religion, they need 100% of the population to believe. But you can't force a religious belief on somebody. They need to make the decision themselves, or at least be convinced they made it. The elites know this. That brings us to step 3. If you're not convinced by what you see, they'll use technology to broadcast the message directly into your brain. You may not realize it, but this technology is being used on you right now. When the new God appears in step 2, you'll hear him speaking whether you believe in him or not. And you won't be able to escape his voice because you're not hearing it through your ears. His voice is coming from your mind. The third step of Project Bluebeam is mind control. They'll use electromagnetic waves to interfere with brain function. They can shape perceptions, create emotions, and influence beliefs.
The third step in the Bluebeam project uses electronically augmented two-way communication, where ELF, VLF, and LF waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind, convincing each of them that their own God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul. Such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. That kind of technology goes into the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s research where the human brain has been compared to a computer. Information is fed in, processed, integrated, and then a response is formulated and acted upon.
We know for a fact that the US military and intelligence have experimented with mind control. We know they used sound waves in the Vietnam War to make the enemy anxious without knowing why. The CIA used these and all kinds of other methods to scramble people's brains and program them to be sleeper agents.
Link down in the breadbasket, Chief.
The government uses EM waves for all kinds of dark purposes. They've patented a device that can trigger emotions in a target from a half-mile away. But what's really scary about the patent is that it claims it can piggyback its signal onto any frequency. That would mean we can never escape it. Everything that uses electricity has an electromagnetic field. Think you're safe living off the grid? Nope. Radio signals can bounce off the ionosphere and reach anywhere in the world. The fourth and final stage of Project Bluebeam is the most sinister. Serge Manasse predicts a universal supernatural manifestation with electronic means. In other words, an alien invasion. The elites will promise to unite and defend the world against our common enemy. But to do that, they'll need emergency power. But it's only temporary, so we won't resist authority. We'll beg for it.
Various issues just before we started. You said you were up till 4 in the morning?
Yeah,
so,
actually a little more like 5 in the morning. But
okay.
We got to the XAI data center, or supercomputer center, training from beginning installation to start of training in 19 days, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that in that new building off the side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were?
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I wish that was funny.